do the opposite game today, and this should be a really long agenda and take us all day. So be prepared. Let's get started.
It'll be grueling.
That's right. Welcome, everyone. I think you said we have a quorum. I think we confirmed that. And if I could have a motion to get the agenda approved, please. Victoria's motion. Do I have a second?
This is
You should say your name, Brandy, when you second.
Whoa.
It's been recorded. We have a second.
Man, Jason's so much better at this. Brandy Williams, second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? All right, all those in favor of approving the agenda as motioned by Victoria, please say aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, agenda approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, any public comments that we have that are currently not on the agenda? Anyone? Moving on.
Bueller.
I wasn't gonna say it. It was too obvious.
I have no shame.
Okay, I hope everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes from the May 19th meeting. I entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the May 19th meeting.
So moved. Victoria,
Thank you, Victoria.
second. Brandy Williams.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the meeting minutes? All right, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes as posted, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, motion approved unanimously. Thank you. All right, John, Board of Directors report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. As far as the transportation related items that you would be interested in, the Board of Directors approved the 10-year transit plan with a minor adjustment, changing the Fort Carson Transit sponsor to be determined instead of having a specific sponsor named. And then they went ahead and approved the 10-year transit plan, which is the 4 years of projects that they had immediate funding for. Additional items, we did a information item on the greenhouse gas mitigation. We intended to say, hey, we're going to do this really fast, and if you have any questions, we'll do a deep dive at a workshop. But it still took a little while. So we're trying to put together the workshop, and it could be as early as next Thursday, the 23rd. So if you're interested in attending the workshop, I think it would be from 2 to 4. We're just verifying that that's a go, and then we'll be sending that out shortly. And then we had another item. Andy basically talked about the infrastructure grant support and how we're working with DOLA to see about getting funding to hire someone to sort of maybe not hire, but or provide consultant support to get someone to work with the jurisdictions to talk about federal grant opportunities. And that concludes the transportation related items on the Board of Directors report, if anyone has any questions. Hearing the deafening silence, I believe we can move on, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. Danelle, would you like to lead our next effort here on our item 6 action item?
Certainly. We have a tip amendment for the FY 23-27 tip, which goes into effect July 1st. We have a request to add one project. It's the I-25 Baptist Road and Terrazzo Drive Improvements Project. $300,000 in FY 23 state fund faster funding. And we are just looking for the TAC to recommend approval of this tip amendment today. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
How are you?
At this point right now, the $300,000 is just design. And the reason this has to have a full tip amendment is that it wasn't a project that was brought forward in the process that we just finished not long ago. So we have to add it, and that's why it needs a whole tip amendment. And I don't know in the future that it'll be funded with the 100% faster money either. So it may have federal money. So we're just erring on the side of caution to make sure we have all of our I's and T's taken care of.
Thank you for the clarification, Wendy.
Sure. Quick question.
Yes.
Oh, you didn't turn it on. There you go.
All right. Quick question. Our roll forward projects, is that an administrative?
It is administrative, yes.
Okay. And I move approval of the tip amendment number 1.
I'll second, Victoria.
You should say your name.
Yeah, Tim.
Tim
we don't-
Roberts.
We don't know who
Thank
you
you.
are.
I
You
know.
could be anybody.
But for the people on the phone. Okay, we have
My
a.
name's Brian, but
You looked at you like, wait, that's my name. Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on that amendment? All right, all those in favor of approving this amendment as motioned by Tim, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on down the agenda. That's going to take a really long time.
brutal.
CDOT, if you would like to do your informational items, I think there's probably several of you.
Hi, this is Kathleen Collins. The TC did today vote on who was going to be their new TC chair and vice chair, but I didn't attend the meeting, so I don't have anything to say right now. But we will definitely follow up with who is going to be the new TC Transportation Commission chair and vice chair. And I believe PD 1601, at least the policy directive related to the greenhouse gas mitigation was being presented to the TC today. Anyway, I will report back when I find out what the results were. And that's all I have. I don't know if anyone else from CDOT who's here today has something to add.
We're all very excited for the quality MMOF projects. Thanks everybody for all of that work.
Well, it wasn't that much. That was all your money. So I guess the only thing I have to follow up on is that we also awarded the Central Front Range projects yesterday as well. And all of their projects have been funded. One of them, we had to cut a little bit of the request, but we have the call for TAP projects that will be happening for the region funding starting in August. And so that project, I've asked them to put the piece that we needed to cut out into an application and to submit it for TAP funding in the fall. And that call is open to PPACG as well and to the Central Front Range. I was hoping Jason was still sitting over there behind the pole. We talked to Dick Elsner yesterday about the study, the Tri-County study, and how we were thinking about what kind of projects might come out of the Tri-County study that need to go to TAP to be funded, and who that person might be that's putting together those applications. So I'll follow up with Jason in another timeframe to work with him on that. And I know all of you were sent this information yesterday. I want to say my days are just, this is a week that's just melded together. I sent this information off to John and Danelle probably last week, right? And I realized as I was going through, starting to look at roll forwards and where things kind of set from a financial standpoint, cleaning up the mistakes and the steps, so that way when we get to the drop dead date next week, that everything's in a good place and there are no errors that are being pushed forward into 2023. And I found money and I'm going, what happened here? So I started looking back and trying to figure out where it came from. So in May, when the budget was updated for the Transportation Commission, the IIJA numbers were pushed at that point, and we have more funding that came to the MPO than we had originally anticipated. So with the new IIJA numbers, these numbers that you have that were sent out to you will be a call for projects at some point in time with Danelle and John. And I know I sent off the carbon reduction information to John and Danelle for the requirements. So they'll have to put something together for you so that you can understand how that program works. You get to pick those projects. It does have a match. It's 8279, just like your STP, 1721. And so all of this funding will be available to be able to put into projects. So with that being said, we made decisions here a few months ago based on what we had, not necessarily where we're at now. So one of the things that we have done in the past is we've taken a good look at how we made those decisions in the past when we come to a new authorization and we get new funding. And if you need to move things around in the pool to put something forward, to move something back, something that you're working on, we have the ability in which to do that. John and Danelle will have to dictate how that process is going to work, but I just want you to know that if we need to move something up, we have the ability to do that. You know, I know that greenhouse gas was not so much of a on our radar when we started talking about some of the things that we awarded in the past. And if we need to make some changes based on that, then we need to look at that seriously, and we need to have conversation and maybe a workshop. And I don't know what it's going to entail at this point, but the option is there for you to make some of those changes inside the pool because the projects are sitting in a pool. We don't have anything that you have awarded that is considered a regionally significant project that isn't in a pool. So with
Any-
that being said, I'll stop talking and
Any questions for Wendy? Otherwise, Mr. Chair, I have a staff follow-up, so. Awkward silence.
Help yourself.
I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, so I think what we need from you guys today, and again, this is not an action item, but it is us as staff seeking direction from you, the committee. Now that we know what was it, Danelle, 17.6? So there's $17.6 million out of the seat cushions that weren't there before. So we need to put together a notice of funding availability, NOFA, that we will send out to you guys because we like our acronyms. We'll send that out to you guys. And we just need to get some information or direction from you on to what would we put in that NOFA. I think the first thing that we need to know is obviously this has to go through our federal process. These are federal dollars. So we need to have an application. And so that I think the first question from you guys is, can we use our standard application we've used before? No need to change that, hopefully, but we want to make sure that's okay with you. Then the next question is, what's an appropriate time frame? Can we say applications are due in a month or 2 months? What do you want to see as far as that time frame? Do we need to have a workshop, not have a workshop? And then I think the other important question for you all, and maybe you don't have to answer that today, you need to noodle it a little bit, is, right, are we still doing if it's an existing project, we fund those, or are you allowing new projects? And again, remember that the sort of the way these funds work, they are adding additional funds through the years. So normally when someone would bring a new project, we'd be, okay, well, the next time we're doing TIP funding is 2027 or whatever it is, right? So you'd have to wait to then. These are monies that are available as soon as 23, right? So there is that ability to take those existing projects, as Wendy had said, that maybe were split between years. I mean, how many times has Tim or Victoria said, okay, I'll give you some money this year and I'll move my money back. This might be an opportunity for El Paso County, Colorado Springs to move some money back up based on the funds that are available if they're eligible and the right thing and it works. So we just need to get from you guys what the ground rules are. We'll put them down on paper and document it according to the federal process, and we'll send out the NOFA. So if you're comfortable giving us direction now, we are willing and able to take it.
Let me, Tim Roberts, City of Colorado Springs.
Thought you were Brian.
I switched hats. Yeah. I'm about to say something controversial. No, something smart this time. So it's Tim Roberts. No. Seriously, so the city has a roundabout project that's Metro funded. And that is a good carbon reduction project. So I'm wondering if there should be a staff analysis too, of if there's projects that should be, free up Metro dollars for completely different, projects that would fit better under the carbon reduction.
Yeah, I think we can do that. And I say we really would be Tinell doing all the work. But yeah, I think what you're asking is, you want us to read through the carbon reduction rule and the eligible types of projects, go through our existing projects, see which ones would be eligible, then notify the sponsor, hey, you've got this great project that's eating up all this STP dollars. It's eligible for carbon reduction. Would you be interested in making an application to switch it over to carbon reduction, thereby freeing up the more flexible STP dollars? I think that's a wonderful idea, and I think we can commit to doing that.
And that's why I use Tim Roberts this time.
Yeah.
I will second that. That is a wicked smart idea. So thank you. Good idea. That's great. Love it.
One more thing, when you look at this information that I sent to you, the 22 funding has been combined in the 23 numbers. And I can't tell you for sure that everything I have here is final. I think it's good for what we're looking at now, but I won't know for sure until July when the system comes back up, because I can see some discrepancies that I'm kind of scratching my head about, but why that didn't work the same way all the way through the process. So, and there's a couple of things that were missing from the spreadsheets that were sent to me that I, for others, not here, but others. And so I'm wondering if I don't think there's going to be any reductions. I just think that something may not exactly be 100% finished with what's here. So there might be more is what I'm getting at. Okay.
So to your three questions, then, I mean, I would think that we would still follow the same process we've done with the applications and evaluations. I don't think we need to change that.
Okay.
The timeline, we probably would need to know what kind of trading and opportunities there are for projects, but then we probably would need, how much time do you think we would need as a TAC once that information was available to us to then, and I do think we should have a workshop. I do think that tends to go over well when we do kind of a call for projects type thing. So if we figured out what funds are available for swapping and how that affects, that could change what projects maybe you would want to apply for. So it'd probably be good to have that information first, but to get everything else scheduled.
So then do we want to wait till Wendy has final numbers like you're gonna get in July?
I think you're gonna have to wait till July to be sure
Okay.
what the dollar amounts are. I was just telling Jeff what I see. I don't like the STP Metro numbers, so I gotta go and see if I can get somebody to help me verify that, because I would have assumed that they would have had escalation in, there would have been 22 and 23, and it would have escalated from there. And I don't see the escalation that I expect to see, so I need to verify that for sure. And that's the only one I have any issue with.
I have usually a quick timeline. I say Victoria, you or Tim have the longest timeline. So how much time do you guys need?
I would love to have 6 to 8 weeks. 6 at least from the NOFO.
Okay.
Yeah. Side note too, though, I think we probably should look at cost overruns as well. Yeah, because stuff is just escalating like crazy, and it would not shock me that there are existing projects that are going to come in over budget that we might want to apply to some of this money.
Which
So,
I think goes back to your question of, yes, we'll do it the same way
so
we've
yep,
done in the
the
past.
existing projects will be a priority, and we'll kind of go from there. All right. I think what we'll do then, if I heard correctly, is Wendy will verify the numbers at the same time concurrently. That's a big word. Concurrently, we will do an analysis of the existing projects and their eligibility to use the carbon reduction funds, because they're not dependent on each other. And so once we do our analysis, we'll let the jurisdictions know and say, hey, can we swap this over for that? But again, that's up to the individual jurisdiction. No jurisdiction, even if we say you're eligible for carbon reduction, we can't force anybody. They could say, nope, we don't want to do that. It's, we want to stick with our STP, but we will make that representation. At the same time, Wendy will verify the numbers. Second, she verifies that number and we're able to sort of send out the NOFO. It always sounds so weird saying that. What we'll do is we'll send that out and we'll have the deadline for the applications be a minimum of 8 weeks because it's summer and you should enjoy yourself. We won't say 6. It'll be 8 weeks after that at a minimum, but it will probably be more given there's no sense in us saying, well, this is 8 weeks. Have you guys give us all the applications and then have them sit for another 3 weeks until we can have the workshop, right? So based on when the meeting schedule falls, so somewhere between 8 weeks and 11 weeks is when we'll have that, the application deadline. We'll have a draft date that we'll just throw out for the workshop. However, we all know that we'll have to run it by you guys, especially if it falls on a weird day. So that'll just be a placeholder date. You guys will have the ability to change that date to something that makes more sense. And then we will plan it to go through the committee process and go from there. So does that sound appropriate? Wendy, I'm
So
sorry,
I
Dole, say
think-
Wendy.
I think that by the time that I have a real opportunity to look at this, it'll probably be the week of the 11th of July, because we have worked ourselves to death over the last month or so, and we're going on vacation.
Yeah, well, again, they're 23 funds, so they're not going to go bad. So I think you guys should take a vacation and we appreciate everything you've done. So, but yeah, so then we're looking at like a September, October, maybe even into November sort of completion for all those. But again, I think from your perspective as jurisdictions, it shouldn't hurt even the 23 money if it goes to an existing project. It should be timely enough. But if you guys tell us there's an issue, we can adjust.
Tim Roberts, thinking of matching monies for 2023, what is the match for the carbon reduction? Is it? Thank you.
Okay, I think that's a good plan moving forward.
Did we get?
Danelle,
everything
you're
we
good?
needed?
Danelle, 1 thumb up or 2 thumbs up? Okay, great.
We're good.
Thank you.
It's great. That was easy. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That was so, I know.
Knock on wood.
That was a mistake. All right, street. Will got up there and blew it all up. All right, Danelle, do you want to hit on that? Do you want to hit on that update?
Something in the chat.
There's something in the chat. What was the match? Debbie asked what was the match. It's 17.21%, same as STP Metro.
And then, so do you have any IIJA updates for us, Danelle?
We have not talked about the Safe Streets and Roads for All. That grant opportunity is open. It is due September 15th. And then also the Bridge Investment Program has opened up. That one is due August 9th. And I can send you, they're both, the information for both is on our IIJA website, but I can send you the links to those.
I looked over the bridge one. I couldn't tell if it's only eligible for major structures or minor structures. Does anyone know?
I know that there's gonna be some I think there's gonna be some off-system bridge money. And I don't know if that's gonna go through the same process as it usually does, a yearly call for project in the fall, and then they award like January, February timeframe. Or if it's gonna be completely different. So
Well, I
I'm
know-
not sure about that one.
Well, I just know federally we can't get money on minor structures. So I just didn't know if that was probably following this. I'm sure it is, but I looked and I couldn't verify. So. Aaron, do you know? Put him on the spot.
Hi, this is Aaron Busto. I do not know.
I'm sure it's for major structures only because it always has been. I don't know why it would change with this. I was just hoping. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into that and see.
Okay,
They
thanks,
had a webinar on it a few days ago, so I'll go and see if I can find any information on that.
Thank you. Okay, any other updates? IIJ updates? Okay,
That's it from us.
should we call Will back up again? Will, it's all yours.
Hello, William Mast, PPACG. Wanted to bring before TAC some information regarding our streetlight regional data service. As most of you are probably aware, last year we entered into an agreement with Streetlight. This was not a PPACG purchase. This is actually a cooperation between the city of Colorado Springs and El Paso County, really championed by Victoria and Todd Frisbee at the city in making this happen. We presented some information last year about Streetlight as an option for PPACG to go in and partner with the city in El Paso County, and that is coming up for renewal this September. So we wanted to have Jeff Peel from Streetlight present updated costs. And if the city and El Paso County, which have both already expressed interest in continuing this regional service, if they secure funding and are able to continue to do so, we will have an action item in the future to you to see if we want to have PPACG take the money that we allocate annually for data acquisition and contribute that to the streetlight cost, just as we did last year. For reference, we have $30,000 set aside annually. That money is sometimes used for static traffic counts. Sometimes, I think 2 years ago, we put it towards roadway condition assessment for Manitou Springs and the city of Fountain. So that money can be used really for any kind of regional data acquisition, but if the TAC approves, then we can put it towards streetlight again. But to give you guys updated costs and to answer any questions on enhancements or changes to the streetlight service for the next year, I'll turn it over to Jeff Peel with Streetlight, who is with us remote.
Thanks, Will. Can everyone hear me? Can I get a thumbs up?
You're good.
We're good? Okay, thank you. Well, how much time do I have? I'm gonna make sure I stay within a lot of time, let you all get on your
Yeah,
way.
three. It's always, you always make us
minutes?
nervous when you ask how much time you have. So whatever you think you have a lot less. Yeah, 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll talk fast then. Thank you. Yeah, so as Will said, you all bought into Streetlight last year. I'll leave the slides that are about the background in here for just for reference when I submit the PDF to you. I'll skip through those for now though, but if you have questions, I can answer them at the end. The quick 10-cent pitch on that is we use the power of big data and location-based services from cell phones and other devices to form transportation metrics that we tie into the OpenStreetMap network. In that we can provide metrics on mode, on home and work locations for the travelers, on things like volume and speed and directionality within that. You all have been using this for about 9 months now. You've gone gangbusters in the platform, not just you on staff, but your consultants in particular have been doing very, very good advanced work in that. The questions they're asking our support team are very intelligent. As you know, you have intelligent staff there. You're doing fantastic work. So I spoke with Will a while ago that I think the level of work you're doing, it would make sense to have some of these more advanced tools that we offer. That's not a hard upsell. Happy to keep you happy with what you purchased so far, but I think the way you've been using the platform as a region here, the other tools are ready for you, and I think you're ready for them. We'll talk about costs at the end if you want. That's a separate document in the presentation I'm gonna go through today. But I do want to spend a second talking about innovation. So we've brought lots of things to we invented this service is on-demand transportation metrics using location-based service data. But we've brought things like AEDT, bike and ped metrics, 15-minute increments, turning movement tools, things like that respond to the industry's needs to the table. And the industry has responded well to us, and they're all struggling to catch up. So we're at top of the heap there, and I have some more updates I can share with you at the end to respond to that. Recap, you all have our essentials tier. It gets you the basic core transportation behavior, volume, our turning movement counts, day types, day periods that you can sort through there. But it's really that core functionality of getting volume and activity there, that you have your disposal. What I'd like to talk to you about today is some of the more advanced tools that get you sort of that next level planning. So I hear in your meeting, you're talking about the bridge funding program, at least one of the early applicants there. And if you follow that funding program, you can probably guess the bridge in the Midwest. They've already submitted and they use our metrics for that, for the segment analysis and looking at speeds and looking at truck travel in particular, which come with the advanced analytics tier, using our top routes tool to understand where they're going. And I'll demo that for you in a minute. We're talking about the Safe Routes for All program. Our metrics, our multi-mode metrics with our bike and ped outputs are really ripe for that, both to feed into that funding effort, but also to do the project prioritization that follows that based on my reading of the NOFO there. So I think this is really right for that. And that's a big chunk of money, in particular for bike and ped and safety projects. So I'm excited to see you all talking about it. I hope you can use our metrics in that. Diving right in, because I'm at 2 minutes of my 3 minutes here. Looking at our segment analysis tool, this is probably our more powerful tool that you all don't have right now, that I use regularly in my work. So I pulled up a project, Colorado Springs, you all did. I don't know if Aaron's in the room, you want to speak to this. This was from March of 2020. Wow, that was probably the last public meeting anyone attended before we all got sent home, right? Just connecting that dot. So the Count Portales project, I just pulled this off your website, so tell me if I'm off base here. But so I use this as an example of how you can use our segment analysis tool for this type of work. Looking at a road diet and traffic calming through there, through edge lines, intersection improvements, and what seem to be other speed and crash counting measures. So by using the segment analysis tool, I was able to grab a handful of the OSM line segments that correspond to the slides in that presentation there.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just curious. You're not sharing a screen right now. Are we supposed to be seeing something?
Oh,
we're seeing
my
you, but we're
apologies.
not seeing a screen or a presentation.
Well, does that mean I have to start over? I mean,
No.
sorry about that. I thought guys, I got a new computer
Hey.
here, and I swear this, you would think for the tech company, I would be a little bit more adept at this, but this has had me all messed up for the past 2 days.
You got it. We can see it now. Thank
There
you.
we go. My apologies, everyone. I hope everyone also calling in can see it there. Yeah, so these were the advanced tools that you get here that I mentioned. Again, this will be in the PDF that I send around. So my apologies, you didn't get to see this as I was going through it. With this, you get the segment analysis tool, you get our top routes tool, which I'll talk about, and our active transportation and truck metrics in particular. So this was the screenshot of segment analysis tool, the Count Portales, the Murata Road, Marlin Road, Cheyenne Mountain Boulevard, that you all had been working on. I'd be curious to hear an update on this project as well. Looking at what segment analysis can provide, I can sort for this by speed, and we can put these in speed bins as you see on the right of the screen there. You can set your own speed bins or use these that are our standard outputs here. I can also isolate an individual section. So if you want to do a before and after of this, where this got edge lines and some intersection improvements, you want to understand what the speed behavior was along this corridor, you can do this in our platform historically and after your project implementation. And you don't even have to have done the counts ahead of time. This was always sort of the time machine effect of our platform that I've always loved, and was sort of the light bulb for me as a customer when I used this before joining the team here, is be able to run this historically where I didn't have previous counts. So looking at, I believe this is Murata Road here, looking at this one segment of that, you can see the travel behavior and the speed bends here, and you can see that listed in the buckets on the right there. But I can also sort that by the average mean speed and the 85th percentile speed. So for the engineers in the room, they're used to looking at things the 85th percentile. We have that as an output in the platform, both in these visualizations you see here, but also as part of the CSV downloads you get with each analysis you run. You all already have access to this, but just to sort of round this out, this project here, if you were using our platform to do the before and after, you could do turning movement counts at this intersection where some, I believe a three-way stop was implemented here, or proposed at least, to run the TMCs, and that gives you, again, the distribution by time of day. You can isolate that peak hour by individual movements there. So that's already included here, but pairing that with the segment analysis tool gives you a whole lot of power and utility with a lot of your transportation projects going in. Moving on to what is my favorite tool in the platform is our top routes tool. This allows us to scan the OpenStreetMap network in the region to identify the level of activity on given routes depending on how you set up the analysis. You can run this from a specific location, which I'm about to show you, or between origin and destinations. So say you have neighborhood cut through traffic and you want to highlight a couple of segments or draw a couple of zones and understand how trips typically go between that point A to that point B. Are they taking the main road and routes, or are they cutting through neighborhoods? You can isolate by that. You can understand detour planning, how folks are traveling along. Would you need to shut down a lane or shut down a roadway for a long duration of time? Understand what that behavior is as you set those detours, as well as evaluate the effectiveness of those detours after the fact. But here, looking at to and from this ACE hardware distribution center, I usually use Amazon distribution centers, but I saw this one next to us. I decided to use it instead here. Looking at that, I'm able to scan the network. You can see here where the ACE hardware is. These are the main roadways and the level of activity that you see coming in and out in this instance, out of that facility here, and the direction of travel that they're going. I can set that for trips going into these locations as well as going out. So that's a zoomed in look at that. Looking out regionally, even what that looks like here. You can pull out in the map and see how that corresponds. Also, as part of the download you get from this, you can pull this into your GIS system if you like, and have that interplay there. One of the more powerful tools we have, one of the more interesting uses with that detour planning and cut through traffic. Moving on, the multi-mode component of this seems like a lot of work you all are doing. When I think of your region, I think of, as a cyclist, I think of all the road cycling out there. So I think of all the work that I know you all are doing to keep cycling and pedestrians safe in your communities. Our metrics are really perfect for that at the multimodal level, where we offer the bike and ped and bus and rail. In the interest of time today, I'm just going to focus on the bike and ped piece here. With this analysis, so the zone analysis, which you already have access to that tool today, but you don't have the bicycle or pedestrian modes here. Looking at the bike mode, I brought in some hex grids. It makes for nice visualizations to understand the activity. 150-meter hex grids here in Manitou Springs, and you can see the pockets of activity popping up by bicycling. I ran a full year's worth of data. So if you think of traditional bike count programs, you may have some counters on your trail network, 1 or 2 counters along there. You may get volunteer advocates to go out and stand on a roadway or a trail with pen and paper and a clipboard. I've certainly done a lot of that in my time, counting folks, but you're missing large swaths of your communities when you do it in that way, which is a fine way to do it, mind you, but there's more robust data sets that we offer that allow you to better understand that activity level. With that, you're able to understand the trip and traveler attributes of this. So you can see the average trip length, the trip speeds, the demographic breakdown of cyclists, demographic breakdown of your pedestrians here, and understand that whether you're doing equity work, Title VI work around your transit projects, or just want to get a sense of your community outreach needs. We have these demographics built in. We're also in the process of updating it to the new 2020 demographic outputs as well as the geographies. Again, using that zone analysis tool, but looking at the OSM network, looking here at Cripple Creek, just grab a handful of the downtown roadway segments using the OSM tool, and you can really see where the activity is happening. If you're looking to do traffic calming, you're looking to do potentially pedestrian zones during peak tourist season or travel season here, you can understand what the activity is and which blocks are happening there. You can then use the top routes tool to understand what guiding traffic around those areas may do. Looking at that further, so looking at the geographic distribution of visitors to those locations, visitors to those streets I had just highlighted, we're able to infer home and work locations here for these folks. Again, this is part of your zone analysis tool that you can use for vehicles here, but looking specifically at pedestrians in this instance, you can see that sort of the regional distribution. If I zoom out further, you've got a whole lot of visitors from Dallas there. I'm not sure what's going on with that connection. Maybe that there's family or just you're doing a lot of advertising in the Dallas airport, but quite popular in Dallas. Lastly, just the quick updates of what we have coming. I was really hoping to have this in place before coming to speak to you all. We are weeks away from a major update to our algorithms and our product offerings in the coming weeks. We're going to have the 2021 AEDT. We're going to have updated geographies for the 2020 census, as I mentioned. We are going to have a huge update in our bike and pedestrian volume metrics. So right now it's at our index value. We're actually going to have volume counts. You will be able to get actual bike and pedestrian counts for your roadway segments in the coming weeks here. With that, it's other sort of behind the scenes house cleaning, making sure our algorithms are responding and reporting the best possible outputs that we can provide for you. That's all I have. I hope I'm over 3 minutes, but I hope I kept that in a timely fashion, and I can certainly answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Jeff. Questions? Who in the room has actually used this? I use it probably 2 or 3 times a week. I love it. You weren't supposed to hear that, Jeff.
No, I can
I
see
know.
who's using it. Yeah.
Yeah, Manitou Springs has a lot of usage in there.
Does our package already allow us to look at bike ridership?
It does not. It does not. It gives, right now you have all vehicle metrics that provide, the zone analysis tool, which you saw a few demos of the multi-mode, but just for vehicle trips.
Is that because there's an extra cost for the bike?
There is an extra cost, yeah. So you can see here the top four categories are the tools you have now, and then in the yellow box there, the tools that you have that you could upgrade to.
Any more questions for Jeff? I was thinking after this, Jeff could hop off and we could talk ourselves for a minute. Oh yeah, are you going to get to the cost, Jeff, or is that later in the?
Sure. Well, no, yeah, it was a separate document that I shared with William. I think Will, and I think he shared it around. So you all are spending roughly 148 for your access right now. The advanced analytics tool goes up to 290. And the multi-mode, if we can wrap this up in an on-time renewal, so this runs fully concurrently without a gap, we can offer a discount right now to 392. So I recognize it's very significant price jumps up for the various tools there. I think what you get is pretty robust, and I would encourage you to think about your specific needs, both in your day-to-day work, your day-to-day analysis, and particularly adding that segment analysis tool that's available in advanced analytics as well as multi-mode. But if you're looking at the bridge funding that's out there, if you're looking at safe roads and streets for all, our metrics are truly, really, really ripe for responding to those grant applications and then doing that analysis work once getting that award. And the safe roads and streets for all is high enough, and I believe one of the funding categories is data purchases. So at a minimum, take a look at that to help offset the cost of this. You would not be alone in looking at it at that angle.
Fair enough. Okay, Jeff, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. You'll obviously hear from us in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful day.
Great. Yeah, John.
Yeah, Dole, just real quickly, and will you please correct me if I get this wrong? I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, again, this is what we call a follow-on procurement. You know, it's very, very similar to like a sole source. El Paso County, Colorado Springs are already doing this, and we are following on with that. If for some reason, one of them or both of them decided they were no longer doing this, and you guys directed us, okay, well, you need to do this. Well, we would need to do a new open procurement, right? So want to make sure, I don't want to get everyone excited. We're like, yes, we're going to do this. We want to do this. It is dependent upon Colorado Springs and El Paso County continuing to do what they do. If they don't do it,
And anybody else who wants to pitch in.
yeah, and anybody else that wanted to pitch in, but again, they're the big funders. So if for some reason they don't want to do it, then, or they've decided to do a different package or something, it's basically on them. So because again, it's that thing. The other thing I want to clarify is the thing about, you know, bringing it to you guys. Again, the reason we're bringing it to you guys, technically we don't have to, as long as it's included in the work program and it goes through and the work program has been adopted. But we have our philosophy here is, why would we buy something for you to use if you don't want to use it, right? So that's the reason we're bringing it to you as an information item and an action item, is because we want to make sure that we have the buy-in from you all that we're buying a tool you actually want and will actually use. So just want to make sure that everyone understands it's not your typical sort of thing, but it's more of a making sure that we are in alignment with what you guys are looking to do, and we're providing the services you need provided. And Will's not trying to give me the death glare, so I think I was okay with what I said.
Well, I can speak on behalf of Manitou Springs. We use it a lot. It's really helpful for us in tracking origin destination data, traffic volumes. I'm using a lot for turning movement counts. That's been really helpful. So I just know that some of the smaller ones, I don't know if some of the other smaller agencies are using it much, but it's really worth getting into and messing around with, but it's pretty powerful. I like it a lot. So we use it quite a bit, and we use it for council presentations. We make tables and charts, and it's great. I don't know if it's worth the double of the price for some of the multimodal, but it would be really interesting seeing the multimodal stuff.
I concur. We use it daily. My neighbor in the office is on it constantly, and she manages our safety program. I'm actually interested in the bike ridership and the traffic calming. That's why I'm texting away here. I don't see traffic calming being the purview of the PPACG. Ridership, though, I don't know. You know, with our new requirements, maybe something to think about.
Okay, so I have no authorization to talk about this yet at all. I have no approval for additional funding, but personally, my consultants right now are using it for our major transportation corridor plan update. We have used it for traffic and drainage studies in the Peyton area. So we are using it. I would love to see PPACG publish an AADT map so that everybody else that just wants to pick up some traffic counts can do it really easily on your GIS website, which you do an amazing job on, and I use all the time. So adding that one map by extracting that streetlight data out of it, I think would be helpful to a lot of people who are a little less into the details of the program. We do have a couple people at the county that are using it, but mostly we're having our consultants sign on and use the analysis. So I personally would like to see it continue. I have no authorization yet to say that, but I also would like to maybe think about potentially using some of this new STP money to, if we need, I don't personally need the bike ped stuff because, you know, we're far more rural and don't have as much as some of you other ones. But if you would consider using some STP money to fund it, then I think coming up with the local match might be a much easier sell for me with my management.
So since you're not authorized to talk about it, the minutes will show these comments coming from Brian.
Yes, that was Brian Batuli.
But yes, But yes, it's the purchase of data, to my understanding, is a eligible activity. So if you as a group wanted directed PPACG to put in the application, so we go through the normal process, we can put in an application for the amount. Again, we don't have the match because you've heard me crying about how I don't have match money for a while now. But if you guys would do the match, that is certainly something you could do. But again, that would have to be something that you all are comfortable with and understanding. There's probably more than one elected official within the region that'll go, wait a minute, instead of filling potholes or building this new project, you want to buy some data. And so we just have to make sure that we're all comfortable with that and can deal with that.
Can we find out if the carbon reduction funding is eligible for the bike data?
Did you get that? Yeah, see if we can use it for that.
Also, for some of the smaller municipalities, we actually hired a consultant to come in and they downloaded all of our data, all of our streetlight data. It's like 4 terabytes of data or something, and then built a Microsoft Power BI database. Does that ring a bell to you? And so it's actually all within this Microsoft PowerBook thing, and we can click and select, and it tells us all the stuff without having to go into the system. So if anyone wants that contact information and would like to have someone help you do that, we just used a consultant. We were talking about Streetlight one day and like, oh, we have people that can do this out of whatever. And so they built us a much easier database that it's much more user friendly. So
Yeah, and I think having PPACG help do that for us would be a great benefit to especially the smaller communities who don't have that ability to get in there and figure it out for themselves. So again, I think it's a great tool. I think we should continue using it, figuring out a way to get you all more involved and helping us, Tim, and the city and the county out with the match portion of it, I think would be a benefit to everybody sitting around the table and those virtually as well.
okay, anything else on that? Thank you, Will.
Just one follow-up. CDOT is looking at potentially at some point in the future, maybe doing a statewide license for streetlight. We were contacted because DRCOG has been asking for it. So we've thrown our weight behind it, saying this is something we'd like to see happen, but there's no estimated timeline or what that would look like or how the fees would be distributed. So that's something that's at least in the works, that there are people at CDOT looking at a statewide model. We also asked about potentially getting CDOT if they would like to partner or contribute on a regional scale, because right now they are excluded. So for CDOT projects, CDOT engineers, they don't have access to our regional subscription to Streetlight. If CDOT did get involved, even if it was just for our MPO or region 2, a confined area of the state, the cost changed dramatically due to the expected additional workload. And CDOT would be the administrator as opposed to PPACG. So they basically say if you're doing the way that they work for the administrator is kind of the highest level for the area. In that case, it would be CDOT taking over, even if it was just going to be a limited area. So that is something that we've also brought up to try and get requests for funding.
Okay, thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
I'm not saying that I'm hurt, but when we mentioned this to CDOT, nothing, but then DRCOG wants to do it I'm not saying I'm hurt, but I'm not exactly okay either. I'm just saying.
Okay, moving on.
Well, I'll convey that, John.
Can you let them know I had a little bit of a low-key crocodile tear right there? Okay.
Are we going to move on?
You're the chair. It's your meeting.
I'm trying. Crocodile tear. All right, Danelle, if you would like to give us a UPWP update, please.
Absolutely. So we are required every 2 years to update to create a new unified planning work program. On the off years, we generally do an update to that document, and that's what we have brought to you today as an informational item. We do have an executive summary in addition to the full document that we've put together for you. Included in this change, we have some additions regarding the IIJA planning requirements. There are some revised due dates and date revisions based on changes that have happened over the past year. There is an adjustment for funding levels and a couple of new tasks. For instance, we have included the complete streets requirement, which is now a requirement under the IIJA. There's a regional gap safety analysis that we've identified that we wanted to call out specifically in the UPWP, and a couple of more administrative items as well. Does anybody have any questions? John, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I would like to make sure that everyone takes a look at the language. I know there was some sensitivity initially to complete streets versus the other language. So I think we tried to make language that meets people's requirements, but please take a look at if you think that there's a better way of wording something. We're happy to do that. Because I know that there are some things that people are more sensitive about than others, and we've tried to be sensitive to that, but that doesn't mean we always succeed. So, but thank you.
So this is an informational item today. We will bring it back to the TAC for action next month. And if you do go through it and have any comments, you can feel free to email them to me and we'll get back with you.
We're meeting with Aaron and FHWA tomorrow. So
Correct.
it
Yes.
might change. It'll definitely change based on their comments because they are our funder. We want to make sure we keep them happy. But we wanted to make sure that keeping with the cycle, we got you something in draft form to start looking at now.
Thank you, Danelle. Okay, are we good with the update? Seems like it. All right, member entity announcements. Any announcements that need to be made that haven't yet been shared? Brian?
Sure. Dole, I'd like to introduce everybody to Ashley Brain. She will be taking over for Craig Blewett as my alternate for the TAC. Craig will be leaving the city after 37.5 years, effective next Friday. So, and I think he's been on the TAC for all of that time. So, but yeah, Ashley will be. She's been kind of taking part over the last several months or year, but you'll see her more frequently here. So
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
thank you.
Victoria?
Just wanted to let everybody know that we are starting our major transportation corridor plan update. The website went live, I want to say yesterday, if I remember correctly, because I've slept since then. So if you check out our website at DPW, then there is a link to that, and be sure that most of you will be getting contacted for input and some coordination over the next few months. But looking forward to working on it with you all.
Anything else? Any items we need to add to future TAC meetings?
For those of you participating remotely, roll forward was mentioned. So that's all right. It's like for those of you scoring at home, that's a 3 to 6 to 2 double play.
Baseball reference. Okay. Let's adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. They have a big shindig in here tomorrow, so we're going to start moving tables. So feel free to, if you have your conversations or whatever,